Hey everyone, I'm Nadia, the product designer at Verify Pipeline Authoring, and today, together with Ian, the senior product designer at Package, I'll be talking a little bit about cross-stage collaboration at GitLab. Woo-hoo-hoo, big topic. Yeah, this is how I kind of often feel when I try to collaborate, not only with other stages, but sometimes even within my stage, trying to figure out what the other groups or stages are up to. It's not easy because our product is very complex. So um, I was wondering, am I the only one struggling so much, just struggling to prioritize cross-stage collaboration? And how do other product designers feel? Like, where do they place themselves? Or do they feel like they're collaborating enough? Do they feel like they know enough about the product surrounding their immediate area of focus? So I decided to run a survey to learn a little bit more about it, and it was very kind of low effort thing. I just wanted to get a quick kind of pulse reading to see how much actually we're struggling and what are the main challenges that we're experiencing, and maybe actually everyone else is doing great. Maybe it's just me. So that was also one of the goals, to determine that. The results were very interesting, and I'm just gonna go through um, some of the highlights. So first off, turns out that when it comes to collaborating within the stage, so across groups, most product designers are doing it really well and feel like they're on top of things. So here you see that most product designers feel like they are up to date on the majority of the UX work that the product designers are doing within their stage. So either they agree or they strongly agree, or they're kind of on the fence. So maybe it's always a good idea to collaborate more with the other groups, but I think we're doing pretty well here. Where things start to get more interesting is when we start venturing outside of our groups and outside of our stages, and we go cross stage. So when it comes to learning and being knowledgeable about the stages that surround your immediate area of focus, um, most product designers actually either disagreed or were unsure about it. So you see that only 20% of participants said that they agreed, they are well informed about the efforts outside of their stage. Um, so why do we want to learn about the UX work that's happening outside of our stages? It's because our product or different parts of our product are all interconnected. And sometimes you don't know that some feature that is being implemented in the other stage, how it might impact the work that you're doing, your features, how might it impact the workflows that you're working on. Or perhaps maybe there are some opportunities there for you and you just don't know about them. Maybe there are opportunities to collaborate and really find some synergy and provide more value to GitLab users by maybe better connecting the features from two different stages. So it seems like we're having a bit of a problem with that. So you see that 20% of the participants said that they strongly disagree, that they're really not informed at all about the opportunities and challenges that new features outside of their stage may present to their stage features. 20 more percent disagree, and everyone else is just unsure. So that just shows that we really struggle with cross-stage collaboration, and that's how I feel as well. So it was really comforting to see that I'm not alone, to be honest. Uh, we find it quite difficult to prioritize cross-stage efforts as well. So most participants agreed, 30% disagreed, so it's great. It seems like not everyone struggles to the same extent, which means we can all learn from each other. So those who feel like they're having a great time prioritizing cross-stage efforts, I really hope that you share your stories, because it'd be really great to learn from you. Um, I was wondering, how well are we familiar with the jobs to be done that other stages are working on? It seems like we're actually more familiar with jobs to be done than with the ongoing UX work, which kind of makes sense because we don't iterate on the jobs to be done as frequently. So if you read the other stages direction pages and there are jobs to be done pages, it's quite easy to find that information. So you'll see that about half of participants agreed that they know the jobs to be done of stages that are not their own. But some still were unsure. Some were unsure, and you see that 20% disagreed. So there's still room for improvement there to learn a bit more about the jobs to be done. And yeah, going a bit more into the product direction, I was wondering how well do we know the product direction of other stages? So where they're going and how are they positioning their product and what is their strategy? So really, most of us don't really know much about the product direction of other stages, which makes sense. It can be very difficult to stay on top of so much information, but I just feel like for us to create a really well connected, really well integrated product, it's important for us to understand the product strategy that goes beyond our immediate area of focus. So obviously I have no answers to that. I myself don't follow everyone else's product strategy, but it was again an interesting insight that this is also something that it seems like we struggle with a little bit. So what exactly are those challenges? So it seems like there are some problems when it comes to cross-stage collaboration. It's difficult, but what are those specific things that we struggle with? And there were some themes that we noticed based on the survey results. So first of all, lack of time. So several participants mentioned that there's just not enough time to share or to consume the updates that are being shared. So we're not even talking about seeking out the information, even just consuming what is being shared in Slack and in issues is a challenge. Also, there's no frameworks or tools to quickly understand the context of a stage group. So because the product is so complex, it really takes a very long time for us to gather enough knowledge about the area to start to understand how it all works. So again, it also kind of ties back to the lack of time. Um, yeah, so there's no process sometimes for different stages to regularly communicate between each other. Um, I guess you'll see later on when we talk about the things that we're doing well. Some teams are doing that well, and they have recurring meetings and things like that. But this can also be a challenge. And cross-stage communication, collaboration is just difficult to prioritize because we're very busy with stage work. And cross-stage collaboration is just not #1 priority compared to stage work, which makes sense. So why? Why are we struggling with those things? Why are we all experiencing those challenges? In my latest meeting with Christy during our skip level meeting, I asked the question, why do we struggle so much with cross-stage collaboration? Why are we so separated? And probably because I don't have a lot of experience working for big organizations. They're like reaching that maturity level, like GitLab. It didn't occur to me that it might have been intentional, and turned out it was intentional. So this culture of having separate autonomous teams focusing on their little area, it was an intentional choice to help us move faster. So but now that we're not a brand new product, we need to collaborate more because we're starting to focus on polishing our product and making it more usable. And you see now we have this new focus on UI polish and things like that. So you're starting to see that we're starting to kind of shift gears and collaborate more. So it's great to know that our leadership knows about it. So we know we need to collaborate more, and seems like there are some things that we're doing right. So in the survey, some of the participants mentioned some of the things that are helping them with cross-stage collaboration. So things like scheduling recurring syncs with other stage groups, learning about their jobs to be done, aligning those jobs to be done, looking for areas of overlap and things like that. Prioritizing attending or watching UX showcases, for sure, it's a big one. And I'm also guilty of not always watching all of the recordings, and I realize I'm missing things, but there's just not enough time. But if you can do that, it's going to be very helpful. Take time to provide feedback in UX co-working channel. So that's also a great place to learn more about what other product designers and other stages are focusing on. Just getting to know other product designers and product managers and making friends with them and scheduling coffee chats. So it doesn't have to be something very big and serious, right? Sometimes you can just have a 30-minute meeting just to learn, okay, what's on your plate? What are the main challenges you're solving right now? And you never know when it will spark some idea for collaboration, or you will see some area where there's an opportunity for you to create something together. And also attending Think Big sessions. So some of the teams run Think Big sessions where they collaborate across stages, collaborate on bigger design efforts, and things like that. So these were the only things mentioned, but I'm sure there are many other things that we're also doing. So if you have any tips, if you have any, if you have some experiences, good experiences of cross-stage collaboration, please share. So yeah, we don't always collaborate enough, but when we do it really well. And I have a good example of cross-stage collaboration in ops section. So it happened quite recently that we started talking about auto DevOps again. So when I first joined the pipeline authoring team and I started learning about CI/CD, it was one of the first thing I noticed that for some reason, auto DevOps and CI/CD, even though they seem to solve a very similar problem. So they create these automated workflows for you. Auto DevOps is like an automated CI/CD that turns on a bunch of features by default. At least that's kind of the vision, that everything, your whole DevOps process just works outside the box. If you use CI/CD, then you write your configuration yourself and you kind of manually enable different GitLab features. And those workflows are very separated. So I started asking myself, why are they so disconnected? And how can we leverage auto DevOps in CI/CD onboarding? And I've been trying to gather the product managers and the engineers and the product designers to discuss this. I was very lucky that Sid also took interest in auto DevOps right at the same time. So I created an issue kind of communicating my vision for what auto DevOps could do for GitLab. And you can go to the issue if you want to check it out. I made a weird little illustration there to better communicate my idea. And the leadership jumped on it because it was just good timing. And we started having async discussions in the issue about how to move things forward. What is everyone's vision for auto DevOps? We had these long threads of product managers sharing their vision. And it was all great, but we didn't really come to any conclusions. Like the discussion kind of stalled and it wasn't clear how to move it forward. So Ian, because he's been running Think Big sessions for ops for a while, and Maria also had this idea, we decided that a Think Big will really help us get everyone in one room while the excitement is still high. So we can actually make some decisions and hopefully come to some conclusion and determine some next steps. So obviously, as product designers, we were super eager to just like get down to work, start wireframing new workflows, and we didn't get to quite get there because turned out we really need to, because it's a really big thing, like redefining vision for a whole feature category. So the product had to do lots of work, but Ian will tell you more about that when he talks about the Think Big session and what they are and his experience with those and how it worked for the auto DevOps discussion.
Perfect. I am so excited to share the ops section cross-stage Think Big. I certainly shared the idea that package uses Think Big to talk about our large initiatives and review designs and the power of having that kind of vision level communication and sync with your team and how it actually leads to fewer syncs needed. The ops section was our attempt, the ops section cross-stage Think Big was our attempt to take that and escalate it up a level. So we have created some really thriving conversations that are specifically tailored for exactly what Nadia had just described. We had really long threads with lots of really good ideas. but somehow we just couldn't make it, like, the decision to move us forward, and everyone was feeling stuck. Once we hit that point, we brought everyone together. And when we say everyone, we're talking about mostly the product strategy oriented side of things. So this is Kenny as product leadership, as well as product managers, product designers. Lori joined with research and was able to give some insights. Even design leadership, Justin jumped in there at some point to kind of share some ideas around how to do this. I really encourage you to watch this video. I know it's on the longer side, but this conversation was so exciting. You could see all the different product managers see the value of the auto DevOps. You could hear Nicole talk about why it was so valuable to get auto DevOps going for secure and how it enabled these things, or how we could use CI and auto DevOps to kickstart a lot of these features that users were struggling to see and find. We found all of this really great information, and we had an incredible conversation. If you want to move to the next slide, we can kind of talk about where that conversation led. So this was great because it validated something, that bringing everyone together for a little bit of sync time can unstick a problem. The first thing that happened out of the conversation, Kenny committed to reevaluating the vision for auto DevOps in the handbook. He opened up an MR. He brought in product managers and product designers and talked about where we all thought auto DevOps should go. And he brought in context from Sid and the upper leadership, as well as what all of these people have been talking about to create that next step. Lost my place, I apologize. So what was great is that this sparked this big conversation about everything that auto DevOps could do. How do we improve auto DevOps adoption? How do we get more people to use it? It's the feature that I think everybody wants to work really well. And it's just not quite there yet. And so we were able to come together and talk about where we all wanted it to go. I, as the package person, want auto DevOps to auto publish packages to the registry and call it easy. That's something I want, that if we didn't have this conversation, could easily get missed when thinking compared to CI or secure and stuff like that. After this, we had some really thriving conversations around how design could utilize a design pod, which I think was Justin's term, as the way that we handle cross-stage collaboration. We as designers see very effectively and very easily how the different parts interact, what the experience is like, why it's so jarring to try to move from one to the other, or to use a cross-stage feature like Auto DevOps. So we're going to use some design pods, take a look at that vision, as well as kind of move some things forward. And it was also really great to see, after this conversation, a real result happened where Auto DevOps was given a defined owner, where I believe the configure team is now the DRI for Auto DevOps, and it's kind of taking lead with Maria and Victor to, this is how we're going to do it, and this is your part, Nadia, that's going to be included, and this is your part, Vitika, and Ian, this is the package that you need to do, and they're taking ownership. And this idea that everyone talked about and kind of struggled to get moving is now powering forward with a lot of momentum. So that's kind of the value of what that 150-minute sync really ended up doing with a feature I think we all love. Oh yeah, you're on mute.
Thank you. I was just thanking you for such a great intro to Think Big sessions. So if you haven't tried Think Big sessions with your team, give it a shot. Maybe it will help you collaborate closer with all of your counterparts. And yeah, we're stronger together. Thanks to Vitika, we now have this amazing illustration to end our presentations with. If you have any stories of like collaboration done well across stages, please share. And if you have any questions, shoot. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadia. Thank you, Ian. That was awesome. I know that we are almost at time, but if you can go over the agenda and to check some of the questions. Nick, it looks like you have the first one. I'm not sure if Nick is in the call, so Pedro?
Yeah, I'm here, sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to share that, thank you first of all for putting all of this together, and also the survey and analyzing the results. Yeah, I feel the same pain, and something I've been doing is scheduling a specific time every month to just consume content from other groups. And that has helped. But unless you're in the weeds going through the issues and their boards and all of that, I only know what they're planning to do like right now, or what they're doing now, and not what they're planning to do ahead. Also because I feel like most groups don't plan more than one milestone ahead, and that has a lot of other issues. And you've talked about also the social side and setting up calls with others. I don't know if, what do you think about having a more like a forcing function, like something that forces us to reach out to other stage groups more often and share more often and look out for these things in the same way that we have these social calls to force us to socialize, because in a remote setting that is less natural. I don't know, it feels like we're always focused on our work and our teams because that's what we're responsible for, but we don't have any accountability and responsibility tied to collaborating with others. So I don't know. I don't know what's the answer.
It's a really great point, Pedro. Actually, I've been thinking about it. I intentionally didn't put any of my potential solutions into the presentation because I just wanted to share the insights that I've gathered from the survey and just open up the conversation. But I've been thinking that it seems like we don't prioritize cross-stage collaboration because it hasn't been made a priority. So even though we all know it's important, but as you said, our main responsibilities don't focus on cross-stage collaboration. It makes sense, but there could be some forcing function of sort from adjusting somehow our responsibilities, making cross-stage communication part of our responsibilities, or maybe having recurring meetings and things like that. And all of the counterparts have to be that you're working with, like your product manager and the engineering teams, they also have to understand that it's important and they have to be aware of that priority, because otherwise it can also be difficult if you're the only one driving that.
I think the UX showcases is a good opportunity to drive cross-stage collaboration. That's at least one of the goals of these calls. So I would certainly keep that in mind as an opportunity to share what you're working on and learn from others, as well as the design pairs. Like we match people up so that they can get more information from areas that they aren't directly working in. So that's also another opportunity that I wanted to highlight. Some just different things to take advantage of that we're already doing. And if they're not working and we're not getting what we want out of them, then we should maybe reevaluate them.
That's a great point, sorry. We are at time. I know that there are still some questions in the document, so please feel free to go over and answer the questions. And yeah, I hope you all get a great rest of your day. And thank you for joining.